Hi and welcome once more to another session of ICT lesson. Today we want to look at the introduction of database concepts, and we are going to use a program called MS Access in this activity. Basically, a large amount of information such as student information in college, information about customers in a bank, or information about all citizens of a country constitute a large volume of information or data, and there must be a way of keeping this large amount of information. The collection of this information is what we call a database, or when we say a database of citizens, we simply mean large amount of information of the citizens of a particular country. Now, when this information is to be stored on a computer, we need a file which can expand and accommodate all this large amount of information. So that file is what we call database. So database is simply a large file on a computer which stores large amount of information. That is what we call database. Now, when you store information in a database, you don't just keep it in the database. You have to create a structure inside that database, and the structure is called table. So from the database here, you can create what we call tables. And tables are simply the actual objects or the actual structures in which information is stored. And in most databases, you will find most likely 2 or more tables are there. It is difficult to find a database with only one table in real life. So we can have several tables in the database. So this one can be table 1. This is 1, then this is table 2, like that. And there is a reason which I will tell you later on why you may need 2 or more tables in the database. Another point is this: a table of a database has 2 main things. It has what we call rows and columns, just like any other table. So if I take a table here of a database, I will have row 1, row 2, row 3. Just to take note of this, one row is not really called a row. In the database language, we call it record. Okay? So this table which I have on the screen here has several records. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 records here. Oh, these are records. Now, one record of a database stores information about only one particular things of a group of related things. For example, if this is student table, assuming this is a student table, one row or record of this student table will contain information about only one student. We cannot have 2 students occupying the same record. Each student must have his or her own record. So in this case, I can have here maybe Mary occupying the first row, and below I can have maybe Ken occupying the second row or record. Now, since the items in the database table are related, it means there are some properties or there are some characteristics they share. For example, if I take a student table, all students must have first name. All students must have second name. All students must have gender. So there are some properties, or we have some attributes, or we have some characteristics which the individual members of this table share. So I will split this table into columns like this. The reason why I am creating columns so that I can specify the characteristics of the members of this table. So I can come here and write the first characteristic, maybe ID. All students must have ID. All students must have first name. Okay. And all students must have maybe last name. And finally, all students must have age. So you can see I am using these columns of the table to specify the characteristic or the property of members of student table. Therefore, these columns, we call them fields. One of them is a field. If there are many, we call them fields. Excellent. Now, in a table like this one, when you are making it, you have to specify certain important information to a program which you will be using to make it. And these programs which we use to make database and to manage, they have a special name, and we call them database management systems. So database management system is simply a program which is used to manage databases. Okay? And in short, we call them DBMSs. So database management system, in short, we can write DBMS. Okay. If there are many, you can call them DBMSs, or database management systems. A good example of database management system which is widely found on most people's computer is MS Access. Okay, this is an example of DBMS which is used by most people on their computers. We have other examples of DBMSs which are large. For example, we have Oracle is another example of database management system. We also have MySQL SQL is another example of database management system. We also have MS SQL Server. This is another example of DBMS. Another example of DBMS is MariaDB. It is also another example of DBMS, MariaDB, and others. So in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a database in MS Access and how to create a table in that database. Then I will be able to store information in it. To start MS Access, we just come to the search bar and we type Access. You can see the name is suggested there. You just click it. In this window here, you are supposed to choose blank database. Don't double click. If you double click, it will open straight a table without allowing you to rename the database. So we are going to click once, then it will ask us the name of the database. I will just call it school. Then it is asking me here, I can use this icon of a folder to choose where I wanted this file to be stored. By default, you can see it is going to save it in documents. If I want another location, I can change this to maybe desktop. Then I just click OK. You can see the destination has changed to desktop. I will click create. So you can see automatically it has created table 1 for me. So I'm going to rename it, and to change it I have to click view. In the view icon here, we have two types of views. The first one is the current one, and this view we call it datasheet view. That is a view which shows the information in the table. Then the other one is called design view. That one doesn't show information in the table, but it helps you to create a table. So I'm going to choose design view so that I modify this table. At the moment you can see it has only one column, ID column, but I want to create another one with several columns. So I will just click design. Then it will ask me the name of the table, and in this case we're going to use the name students as the name of the table. Then after that I'm going to click OK, and I will be able to enter the information in my table. So you can see the first field is what we call primary key, and in this field you are only required to enter information which does not repeat. For example, phone numbers of people do not repeat, ID numbers of people do not repeat. Other information which don't repeat are like payroll number or work ID, membership ID. All those are things which don't repeat, and we only store them in the first field. If this field is specified as primary, if I right click here, it gives me opportunity to specify whether it is primary or not. But automatically the first field is normally a primary field. If a primary field encounters a second item which is similar to what is already in that field, it will reject it. For example, if I'm saving people's phone number here, then I type another phone number which looks like somebody else's phone number here, it will reject, it will not accept. That is why we call it primary key. So I will have here registration number of a student, because I know it will never repeat. Then here under data types, most registration numbers are numbers, so I'm going to choose their number. Then of course I can have first name here, because most students have first name, and that one I will choose type text. I can choose short text. Then I have last name as short text, and finally I can have maybe gender, that can be short text. I can have age, that can be a number, like that. Now I am already in design view of this table. I want to switch to datasheet view. So to switch to datasheet view, I will click the view, then choose datasheet. Then it is telling me I must give a name, so I will just click save. Now you can see here I am in datasheet view, and in the datasheet view it is showing me the data in the table. Right now I don't have any information, but I'm going to type it. So I can just start here, maybe 001 is our first student, and it's called maybe George Bush, and is a male, and his age maybe 10. 1002 can have Helena. Rossini is a female, maybe aged 12. 1003 can be Kennedy. Jones, and is of a male, and is age 14. Then I can have 1004, and is a lady called Alice. Rude. And she is a female, age maybe 11. So you can see finally I have a table which I have created in MS Access, and it is inside a database called school. So I'm going to close it and save the changes, and you can see I have a database file here, and the database file is called school. If I open it, I have a table in it called students. If I double click this table, it is showing me information in it. That is how simple it is to create a database and a table. Thank you for participating. See you next time. Bye bye.